office, the office I'm in is not, or does not have walls. And, so and my personal computer here at the library does not have its own camera. So I'm in my, coworker's office. So anyway, um, Dr. Roscoe Jennings, let me get my screen shared here. Um, so, my thesis was on Dr. Roscoe Greene Jennings, and the reason why I chose to do my thesis on him was because I did my internship for my public history degree at Historic Washington State Park. And while I was there, I spoke with the historian, and he had mentioned Dr. Jennings, and they had a little bit of information, but not a lot. And so I decided to do my thesis on him. And it's been, as he said, 4 years since I did this, so I might be a little rusty. So just bear with me. So he was born on June 11th, which that means that this is a great time for me to be doing this because his birthday's in a couple of days. And he was born in Leeds, Maine, to Perez Smith Jennings and Joanna Lane Jennings. And he was the fourth son of the couple, and they had had 5 children, but they would eventually have 6. And his father was a farmer, and uh he just worked on the farm for his dad while he was growing up. And he would help his mom around the house some. His mom was more of a like a home mom, and she would cook, clean, make sure the children went to school, and just all those roles. And while he was growing up, he went to school, and normally school was only during the winter time, so that way uh all the children could help in the fields growing up while they were growing up. And he had a fascination with learning, and which that pretty much drove him to want to become a doctor so he could learn more and more as he got older. And he let me see if I get my screen change. When he was 17 years old, that's when life really began for him. He was offered a job as a teacher at the school that he had always attended. And there's not much about his early childhood that I could find. And about the only thing that a lot of information came from the copy of the birth record there on the screen. And a lot of the information that I did end up using for my thesis came from the Historical Research Center at UAMS and down at the Center for Arkansas History and Culture and the Butler Center, which is where I had also done one of my graduate assistant positions. And so I used both of those areas to do my research. But anyway, he got the job at 17 to become a teacher at the school, and that was in 1850, and he got paid $14 a month to be the teacher. And while teaching, he really discovered his love of learning about a variety of different subjects. But later in 1850, he furthered his education journey and enrolled in the Monmouth Academy, where his brother Orville had actually attended, and Orville was older than him. Uh, while attending classes at Monmouth, Roscoe tried to select his profession and set his life on the course to that profession. So, in letters that he wrote to Orville, which can be found at the UAMS Historical Research Center, these letters, he told his brother that all the people knew his last name, but that was because of his brother attending. So he had apparently some big shoes to fill because everyone loved his brother that knew him. And which the name gave him recognition there. And let's see. To pay for his education, though, Roscoe used money he had earned from teaching at the school in Leeds and other teaching positions along the way. Throughout the years, though, Roscoe wanted to work in a profession that people would admire. His brother was already a lawyer in Washington, Arkansas, and was about to be married. And in letters written to Orville, his brother, Roscoe suggested that he didn't want to settle down anywhere too far from him. So him and his brother were really close. And although he wanted to be near Orville, law school was not on his mind. And he contemplated being a doctor, but it worried him due to his age since he was a little older. He had written Orville a letter in 1851 about his dilemma with being 19 and wanting to pursue medical school. And they did not have the letter of response back at the Historical Research Center, but I'm pretty sure that Orville just told him, just go on and do it, like follow your dreams. But in September of 1852, he did decide to pursue a career in medicine and continue to teach anywhere that he could find a job to help pay for that schooling. And he knew he wanted to help people, whether it was by teaching or by being a physician. And Jennings moved from Monmouth Academy to Kent's Hill to attend classes. And when classes were over, he taught at a school in Green Mountain, and which at Green Mountain, it was a new experience for him because he was not only teaching younger kids, but he was also teaching kids that were from just not only 4 years old to 21-year-olds. And he had about 50 students in his class, which he was not used to. And so that opened his eyes up to different age groups and everything. And in 1853, it came around time to find a job, and Jennings was offered one in Belfast, Maine. Once he arrived in Belfast, though, he started the job and was offered another job as a teacher. So he returns to Monmouth Academy later to learn Latin and French, which helped him with the medical school, since a lot of the medical terms are derived from Latin and some from French. He was also studying algebra and English while attending during this term. Come the fall of 1854, Jennings left Monmouth and went to Dartmouth Medical School in Hanover, New Hampshire. He did not stay at Dartmouth, though, to finish his medical career. He transferred to the Medical School of Maine, which was established in June 27, 1820. And this is where he really got his doctorate degree and where he learned a lot that he needed for his practice. And once graduating, though, he practiced medicine for a short time in Leeper, Michigan, and having come there at the invitation of a distant relative. he wanted to eventually venture down south where his brother Orville was, because of course he said he never wanted to live anywhere far from him. And so Orville lived in Washington and practiced law there. And Jennings eventually made it to Washington, Arkansas, after he journeyed from Michigan down the Mississippi River to New Orleans. And then a couple days after arriving in New Orleans, he took another steamboat to Camden, Arkansas, which Camden, Arkansas, will be mentioned again later on. But once in Camden, he left there by stagecoach and went to Washington. And Jennings knew he wanted to live in a town that, I've already said it, that his brother practiced law in. So he joined the practice of Dr. Benjamin P. Jett. And this not only helped Jennings with his doctorate and doctor practices, but Dr. Jett also owned the pharmacy. And Dr. Jennings eventually bought the pharmacy in 1860 and kept it active along with continuing his medical practices. Okay. Of course, on April 12th, 1861, the Civil War broke out. And Dr. Jennings joined the Civil War on the Confederate side, since he was in Arkansas and in the Deep South. And he joined it and was a part of the 12th Arkansas Regiment. And he wanted to join the Confederate side because a lot of the people that were in Washington, Arkansas were Confederate sympathizers, like they were on that side. And so he did not want to lose patience. He did not want his business to go downhill. So even though he was born in Maine and was considered a Yankee, he joined the Confederate side. And during the war, he saw an abundance of dysentery, cuts, gashes, and diseases. But whenever he joined the war, he was allowed to bring along with him a person to assist him in whatever he needed, medical wise, or just a day-to-day living. And so he took along with him a man named Jim, and Jim was an African-American man who was enslaved and owned by Dr. Jennings. And while at camp, after going to wherever they had to go for camp, Jim would stay and sleep in the tent with Dr. Jennings. And Dr. Jennings saw to it himself that he treated Jim well, so Jim could continue helping him. But in many letters that are at the UAMS Historical Research Center, Dr. Jennings writes about Jim and to let Orville know how the war's going and people back home how the war's going. And then he would tell Orville in these letters about Jim and how Jim's helping him and Jim's health, and just so Orville could tell all the other enslaved people back in Washington and the surrounding areas that were concerned about Jim being off, how he's doing. And during the war, this was on the screen, this is one of the quotes that really stuck out to me. It says, "We still have a great amount of sickness and much fatality, as Arkansas men cannot stand anything. I never saw such tender beings in all my life. Pneumonia and typhoid fever are the principal diseases." And he felt sorry for these people. And but during his time, he was captured at a battle that took place on Island Number 10, which is located in the Mississippi River, and he became a prisoner of war. But however, he managed to escape from the Union forces. And while at some point during his time with the Confederacy, he traveled through Little Rock, and he wrote letters to family that he just thought that Little Rock during that time was the most beautiful place he had ever seen, and that he would not mind living there one day. But after um, he managed to escape, though, from the Union forces during that time. He also got out of the Confederate Army and went back home. But he became a surgeon for both sides, not just for the Confederate side at the beginning of the war. Um, After being a surgeon for them, he resigned and joined the Union Army in Little Rock, which is where he wanted to be because he loved Little Rock. And that was in 1864. And he was the assistant surgeon in the federal garrison at Fort Steele, which is now the Philander Smith College in Little Rock. And during 1865, he was in charge of the smallpox hospitals there. But after the war was over, he continued to live in Little Rock and practice medicine. And here's where Camden comes back in to play. On April 10th, 1869, he married his wife, Gertrude E. Elliott, who was from Camden and was a native of there. And I never could find out how they met, but uh, anyway, she's from Camden, and he had been there on his journey to Washington, which is where he wanted to go to begin with. And they were married on the steps of the United States Arsenal in Little Rock, which is now the MacArthur Museum of Arkansas Military History. And the couple had 3 children, Octavia, Orville, and Elliott Cruz. Before his death, Jennings would also make a name for himself, though, which is something that he had always wanted to do. His brother had already made a name for himself, being a prestigious lawyer in Washington and the surrounding areas. But now Roscoe wanted to, make a name for himself. And so he became one of the 8 founders of the School of Medicine of Arkansas Industrial University, which is now UAMS. And the other 7 founders, I'm going to mention them just because I think that they are very important. Not just him. August L. Brashear, and excuse me if I mispronounce these, Claiborne Watkins, and all these men I'm speaking of were doctors too. Edwin Bentley, James D. DeBrill, and James Henry Southall, and John J. McAlmont, and P.O. Hooper, which was Dr. Hooper, who I don't know much about the others, but I do know that he had a big role to play with Arkansas Insane Asylum. But it is possible that Jennings' background in teaching and his persistence of learning were a key figure of why he was one that pushed for this school, and was a key factor for maybe why UAMS is a teaching college today. But whenever they were trying to get everything together, each founder donated $625, which was a lot during that time, to initiate the process of creating the medical school and hospital. With the amount being close to $5,000, the 8 purchased the Sporendio Restaurant and Hotel on West 2nd Street. At this location, the medical school opened on October 7th, 1879, with only 22 students. The medical school would be under administration of the Arkansas Industrial University in Fayetteville, and was known as the School of Medicine of Arkansas Industrial University. And here at the university and hospital, Jennings was a professor of clinical surgery and venereal diseases, but then he also was a doctor too, that practiced at the hospital. Um, and while the school was getting up and going, he also took the position as secretary of the medical school until 1893. Uh, so I just discussed about him being a founder, but now we're going to get close to where we talk about the end days of his life. There was not much information about that I could find about his life after becoming a founder and being a doctor in Little Rock, other than there was some information where he did not discriminate on race, which of course, whenever you're a doctor, you have to take the code of ethics and stuff where you can't discriminate and you have to treat to the best of your abilities whoever is your patient. And that was also shown with Jim, who went with him to war. But up until almost the end of his life, though, Dr. Jennings continued to teach at the hospital and the medical school. In 1899, he did make a house call to a sick woman who had symptoms of pneumonia. And Jennings treated her to the best of his abilities that he could, but eventually started to fall ill himself. And it was not very long after making this house call that he did start feeling bad, and he started having symptoms of pneumonia and eventually passed away in his house on April 5th, 1899. And before I go into that, this is just a picture of the faculty of the College of Medicine between 1897 and 1898, which can be found at the UAMS Historical Research Center. But anyway, after passing away, a legal official declared that Jennings' body was not contaminated with contagious diseases and could be transported to St. Louis, Missouri for cremation. And so this is the death transport permit that was found, and it's kind of blurry. But at the bottom, it says, I hereby clarify that Dr. R.G. Jennings did not die of contagious or infectious disease. And then it was signed by a medical official. And he was cremated, and when he passed away, the School of Medicine wrote a memorial article dedicated to his time working there and explaining how he would be missed dearly, which can be found at the UAMS Historical Research Center. But his ashes were taken to a mausoleum in Mount Holly Cemetery in Little Rock, and the cemetery is on Broadway Street, and in the mausoleum is his wife, his daughter, one of his sons' remains, and the mausoleum is not dedicated just to the Jennings family, but at least 4 out of 5 people in his immediate family can be found in the mausoleum. But he was 65, almost 66 when he did pass away. So that's my information. If you have any further questions or want to do more research, I do have a website there that is listed at the bottom. And that is the website that I made for my thesis. And my thesis book is on ProQuest. And I guess, Tim, that is it. If I can figure out how to get out of here.
Well, thank you very much. That was interesting. Dr. Jennings, of course, he's crucial, important to the history of UAMS. I did notice we have one question. Do you know what happened to his manservant?
I don't. It never mentioned anything about Jim going back home or being freed or anything like that. So, I mean, I always wondered what happened to him also, but I couldn't find anything.
How did you get interested in this topic, Mary Kate?
Well, as I said, I did my well, first of all, I've always enjoyed like the Civil War time period. And I had at UAM, I was a part of Phi Alpha Theta, which is the History Honor Society, and we took a field trip to historic Washington State Park, and I really enjoyed it there. And so, in grad school at UALR, they were like, you have to do an internship, and I found out that the park did an internship, and I got to work not only as not only with Josh Williams there, who is the curator, but I also got to work with a lady that has retired since, but her name was Lita Spears, and she was over, I don't really know exactly everything that she was over, but she was my other go-to boss whenever I was there. And I discussed with them, and I've always, at one point in my life, I wanted to go into the medical field. And then I found out I'm not very good with math, I'll be honest. And I found out there's a lot of math. And so that was not for me. And so then I found out from the historian there that they needed more information on Dr. Jennings because there had so much on Orville, but not a lot on his brother. So that's one reason why I did Dr. Jennings.
Okay. Well, I agree with you. I'm not very good at math either. So that's why I went into history. While we're waiting on other questions, then please feel free to write questions in the chat box, and I'll pass them along to Mary Kate. But while we're waiting, when you were doing your research, were you able to ascertain what kind of relationship did Dr. Jennings have with the other 7 doctors? I'm assuming, I mean, it's a friendly relationship with the other 7 founders. But did you find any correspondence between the other founders and Dr. Jennings? And
I didn't find any per se letters or anything like that, but I do know that he was a part of a multiple societies in Little Rock during that time, and a lot of these other doctors were also. And so I'm sure that they saw each other at other gatherings than just discussing about the new hospital and university.
We have another question in the chat. Are there any letters or diaries of Dr. Jennings that can be researched? Do you have a discharge of his from the Union Army?
I don't have a discharge. All the information that I got was at the UAMS Historical Research Center. And then you can go down to the Center for Arkansas History and Culture and the Butler Center area, and they have a box in their archive that has some stuff that somebody has printed off about him in there. But then I got a lot of my information just from the letters and from newspaper articles from newspapers.com. and just some of the resources that the Butler Center and Center for Arkansas History and Culture offer.
I believe that some of his the Civil War letters between Orville and Dr. Jennings, I believe that some of those were published in the Arkansas Historical Quarterly, and I can't remember exactly when they were published, but I believe some of them were at least published in there.
Right.
I have a question, and we have a comment. Were there, or a question, were there any tensions between Dr. Jennings and his family back in Maine after he joined the Confederate Army?
Oh, I'm sure there were, but I'm sure that he wrote them and told them the reason why he was joining it. So I mean, he had to keep a livelihood whenever he came back home.
Mhm.
So I mean, it was like I call it the right decision to do, just so he could live if the war was over, because no one knew whenever it was going to be over.
And we have one more, we have a comment. You mentioned him being a member of several societies, and Derek Rudkin writes, he's director of the Pulaski County Medical Society. He says Dr. Jennings was president of the Pulaski County Medical Society in 1871. So not too far after its founding, it was founded in 1866. So an early president of the society. I have a question. That the photo that you showed of, I'm assuming it was Dr. Jennings during the Civil War when he was in the 12th Regiment.
Yes.
Where is that photo? Is that from the state archives, or do you remember where that came from?
Let me go look. I can pull it up really quick.
Okay. I've never seen a picture of him younger. And it's interesting to see that photo.
Hold on just a minute. Let me find it. It is on, I got it from Find a Grave website.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'll have to go and look at that. That's interesting. If you see an older picture of him and then compare it to that younger picture, it's hard to imagine it's the same picture, because in the older he has this big long white beard.
Right.
So it's interesting to see him without a beard. Well, if there are any other questions, please feel free to use the chat box, and we'll pass them along. Trying to think, Mary Kate, what was while you were doing research on Dr. Jennings, what was the most interesting fact about him that you discovered?
Well, I just thought it was amazing how he was a surgeon for both sides, which that also, as I said, like the medical oath or whatever that you take, you can't discriminate. And so he had been raised and lived most of his life in the North, and then he moved south to his brother. And so he didn't care. He just wanted to help people as much as he could.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I guess that was the most interesting thing that I found.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And he seemed like he was an intelligent man, obviously, and a very generous one, it seems like. So, well, congratulations on that research that you did on him. It's really interesting. And I appreciate you being here today to present your research. I know how difficult it is to do a presentation kind of a few years after you've done the research. Right. So I appreciate you being here. And thank you all for joining in today. This presentation was recorded, although I forgot to hit record right at the very beginning. So the introductory remarks weren't recorded, but the presentation itself was. And it'll be up on the Society's YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube and just type in SHMHP, the channel will come up and you'll see all the videos. You'll see this one. It'll be up at the top, most recent one, and then you'll be able to see and watch all the other stay-at-home lecture presentations that we've done, in addition to a few other presentations. So again, Mary Kate, thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Good luck in graduate school this fall. And I hope everyone will tune in in August. Remember, we will not have a stay-at-home lecture in July because of July 4th, but we'll see you on August 7th. And I'll probably be mentioning Dr. Jennings as well as I talk about the Pulaski County Medical Society, the Arkansas State Medical Association, and the creation of the Arkansas Medical Society. So thank you all again. Y'all have a great week, and we'll see you in August. Thank you.